Before we get started with the videos, I'm just going to go through a overview of the screen layout so we'll know what to look at when the video is playing, when the scenarios are playing. So here is my ventilator screen here, and if we look at the top left corner, you notice this is my mode. We're in pressure control, and I'm going to remain in pressure control. Down at the bottom right portion of the screen, these are my settings, and in this scenario I'm going to just be changing my respiratory rate setting, and here it is right here. So we'll notice changes in respiratory rate. My PEEP and my pressure control, however, are going to remain constant. For our measured values, we're going to look at this portion of the screen. It's going to be the top left-hand corner of the screen, right here. And the measured values we want to focus on, we're going to focus on the tidal volume delivery in this scenario. And here is my tidal volume, my inhaled tidal volume and my exhaled tidal volume. Additionally, we're going to look at another measured values just to show what the compliance is in my test lung, and I'm going to be changing the compliance in a couple scenarios. So what I did is, if we look at the top left hand portion of the screen, I selected tab 2, and under tab 2 I can look for my measured compliance value, and it's gray here, and you can see it's 9. So I'll be changing this screen also. And if you look at the right hand portion of the screen, the bottom portion right over here, that this is where I'll be changing my inspiratory time, because I'm trying to keep the same duty cycle or inspiratory time fraction or percent, otherwise known as an IE ratio. So I'm trying to maintain a duty cycle of 33%, which is a IE ratio of 1 to 2. And I'm circling where you can see my IE ratio. I'm going to try to keep this constant 1 to 2. And that's all based on my respiratory rate and my I time setting. So I'll be manipulating my I time to keep a constant IE ratio. So that's an overview. Okay, here's a screen video, and we're in pressure control, and we look at my compliance is only 9, and we're getting only tidal volumes around 200 with that respiratory rate and that pressure. I'm going to turn up the respiratory rate and see what this does to the delivered tidal volume. So we're currently getting tidal volume around 203, and I'm increasing the respiratory rate to 20. However, I have to go to my additional settings and change my inspiratory time so we keep that same duty cycle of 33%, or that 1 to 2 IE ratio. And let's see what it does to our tidal volume. And it decreases our tidal volume a little. Now we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to increase the respiratory rate to 30 and see what that does. And change my inspiratory time for the same duty cycle. And it has little effect on my tidal volume. Now these lungs are so stiff, increasing my respiratory rate might not affect my tidal volume that much, even if we turn it up to 40. We would probably see it if we start trying to increase the rate more, like above 50 or 60. And then we're going to increase it to 40, and let's see if it changes the tidal volume that much at all. And since the lungs are so stiff, it's probably not going to do it at all. This is scenario 2, and the compliance I've increased to approximately 20 centimeters of water. And with the pressure control at 20, we're getting return tidal volumes around 400 cc's. You notice my eye time is set appropriately. We're keeping the same IE ratio of 1 to 2, that same duty cycle. And you notice my compliance is 21 when I open my second tab. So we're currently on a respiratory rate of 10, so I'm going to turn this up to 20 right now and see if this affects my tidal volume delivery. And I'm just going to change my inspiratory time to keep that same duty cycle, to keep that constant. Now let's see what it does. So at a respiratory rate of 20, let's give it a few breaths to see what it does. It really had no effect on my tidal volume at all. Now what we're going to do is we're going to increase the tidal volume to 30 and see what it does. Here's the same compliance. I haven't changed compliance. And I'll change the rate to 30 and change my inspiratory time to keep the exact same IE ratio. And as you notice, the compliance with this compliance and this respiratory rate, we haven't really had an effect on the tidal volume that much at all. Now let's see what happens when I turn it to 40 breaths per minute. So I'll change it to 40 breaths per minute, keeping my inspiratory time percent the same, a duty cycle 33%, and let's see if this affects my tidal volume. And with this compliance, really not much at all. Scenario 3, and I'm changing the compliance even more, making the patient more compliant. So I'm changing it approximately 50. And this is just showing I have the same IE ratio of 1 to 2. And with this pressure control level, I'm getting much higher tidal volumes. Or you see 940 cc's. This is just showing my compliance, approximately 50. And I will start increasing my respiratory rate and see what it does to my tidal volume. So increasing it to 20. And let's see what it does to my measured values. So let's keep my same IE ratio, or duty cycle, 33%. And I give it a couple breaths, allowing it to equilibrate. And you notice my measured tidal volume is 850. So it dropped my tidal volume significantly. This just showing I'm on the same compliance. But we gave it a couple breaths for it to equilibrate, and it dropped my tidal volume. See, it's 920 by, approximately 30 some cc's, 25 cc's. I'm going to increase the respiratory rate to 30 and see what this does, maintaining the same duty cycle. And give it a couple breaths. It takes about 4 breaths. The measured values are kind of averaged on 4 breaths. And see what this does with my tidal volume. And you notice this did drop my tidal volume even more. And we're going to do the same thing at a respiratory rate of 40 and see how much it drops my drops my tidal volume. And we're going to do that. Conclusion: reductions in compliance or increases in frequency decrease the delivered tidal volume.